everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's David Ryshpan, and this is the 5th episode in a series I've been putting up called Comping Concepts. If you haven't watched the previous episodes, I'll have a playlist linked up there, wherever the cards go, and I'll also have it linked in the description box with all of the episodes in this little series. If you enjoy the content on this channel, please click like and subscribe. I know everyone always says it, I always say it, but it really indeed does help the channel, so please click those little buttons. Today we are going to talk about soloing, and you might ask, why are you talking about soloing in a series about comping? I'm so glad you asked. For me, if you can play a tune, if you can play the melody of a tune, and you can comp using all of the skills we have talked about in the previous episodes, you are well on your way to soloing. And in this episode, this video, I am going to explain that statement and that concept. So in the previous videos, we've covered interdependence of the hands, independence of the hands. We've covered comping rhythms for the left hand and their variations. We have talked about left-hand voicings. We have talked about two-handed voicings. So we have covered every eighth note in the tune. We are aware of where every eighth note, if we're still staying in kind of eighth note subdivision, eighth note grid. If we're playing funk music, it might be a 16th note grid. But we have developed an awareness of where every rhythmic subdivision in our tune falls. We are responsible and comfortable in every subdivision of the bar of every bar of our tune. And we have, obviously, the melody of the song that we are playing. We also have 4 notes, if not more, of notes we know that work because they're the notes of our voicings. So we have at least 5 notes for every bar, or for every chord change. We have 5 notes minimum that are available to us. Plus, we have every subdivision in the bar. You combine those 2 elements of rhythm and harmony, and that gives us a never-ending supply of melody to play. I think we often forget and overlook that when we're improvising, if we're improvising in kind of straight-ahead music, traditional jazz music, whatever you want to call it, we are still playing songs. We are improvising over songs, over tunes. And the tune itself is providing a lot of information and a lot of resources for us to improvise with. I think we often get caught up in learning licks and phrases and material that does not correspond to a song, to a tune. And even in something like a blues, I remember the advice I got from the great Canadian saxophonist Mike Murley when I was very young. And he said something to the effect of, I should be able to walk into the club in the middle of your solo. And not only should I be able to tell that you're playing a blues, I should be able to figure out from your solo which blues you are playing. Because if I'm improvising over Straight No Chaser, the Thelonious Monk blues, it is very different than if I'm improvising over Sunny Moon for Two by Sonny Rollins. Not just because they might be in different keys, but because the melodic material of those melodies, of those themes, are vastly, vastly different. So going back to this idea that if you can comp and play the head of a tune, you are equipped to solo, let's go back to our example of There Will Never Be Another You. Let's just even take the first 4 bars of the tune. We have our E flat major 9 voicing. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. And let's look at the melody that occurs over the first 2 bars of the tune, the 2 bars of E flat. So we have all the notes that are in our voicing, the 3, 5, 7, 9 that are in our voicing. We have the 6, which is not in our voicing, but it's in the melody. And we have the melody passing through the bass note, which is E flat. I basically have the complete E flat major scale in that melody minus the fourth. So I have 6 notes that I know work. And I have 2 bars, so a maximum of 16 eighth notes in which to use combinations of those 6 notes. And also the melody is the scale going up. And then it pivots back down. To me, that is a very strong melodic cell, so maybe I'll take that particular melodic fragment and maybe I'll move that through the 6 notes that I have, you know. But again, this is all coming from the melody of the tune, the notes I have in my voicing that I know work. This is not coming from learn this lick, this phrase that I transcribed. It's not coming from that mentality. It's coming from, this is all inside of the tune. This is all material the song itself is giving me. That having learned the song to the extent that we have through these 4 videos, I'm not adding any new material in a sense. I'm not reaching for external vocabulary or whatever. This is all material that is integral to the tune. It exists already in the song. Now the next chord is D minor 7 flat 5. And the melody is the 3rd. The melody is the F. And I have those 4 notes, 3, 5, 7, 1, that I know work. So I could play whatever I want over the E flat major and then resolve, make sure that I land on one of those 4 notes on the D minor 7 flat 5. It's landing on the melody note. Now let me maybe land, I'm going to play something that lands on the A flat, on the flat 5. And then I have the next chord, the G7, G7 flat 9 perhaps. And so on and so forth throughout the entirety of the song. We've also become keenly aware of if our hands are together or if our hands are separated by an eighth note, if my hands are in the gap. So in synthesizing all of these things and putting all of these ideas together, we can start by maybe paraphrasing the melody and then making the decision that we are going to always comp with our melody. So if I anticipate something in the melody, my left hand goes with it. If I delay something in the melody, my left hand goes with it. I'm always comping with my right hand. My hands will be together. I can now do the opposite and only comp in response or in the gaps of where I'm putting the melody. I got very close to what I would consider improvising, soloing there, even though everything I played was essentially the melody. But if I started to change the notes, if I start to change the pitches of what I'm doing based on the notes that I know exist and know work in my voicing, it might start to sound something like this. I'm going to slow the tempo down just a bit. That was at 94 BPM, by the way. I'm going to slow it down to 80. And I'm going to start with the melody of the tune, and I'm slowly going to just change the notes. So I'm going to keep the contour, I'm going to keep the rhythm more or less of the melody, but I'm going to maybe change a couple of notes. So what started as the melody, I very quickly wound up into soloing. And the way that one idea spawned another, I can do that with the phrases I come up with in my own soloing. I would urge you, when you begin improvising, and even as advanced improvisers, if you're a professional musician watching this, if you're an advanced musician watching this, I would just urge us all, if we're playing standards, to remember that standards are songs. There are lyrics that go with them in a lot of cases. There are stories that are told through those lyrics. And they're not just blocks of chord changes for us to blow over. They are songs. And we are always striving as musicians to serve the song, even when we're improvising, even when we have dressed them up with reharmonizations and chromatic alterations and extensions and all of this. They are still songs. So let's have a discussion about this in the comments. If you have any questions about anything that I've addressed in this series, please leave a comment below and I will do my best to address them. If you want additional videos in this vein based on your questions and comments, I'm happy to do so. Let's continue the discussion. Please click like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this lesson and this series of lessons. It helps the channel and it also lets me know that there is an interest for this kind of information and these kinds of video lessons. Thanks for watching and listening. My name is David Ryshpan. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.